Keith, it's Michael and Don. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Michael. How are you?
Good. Going into that game last night, you've got Greinke, you've got DeGrom. DeGrom had already pitched an unbelievable game in Game 1. Did you think the Mets were going to win or lose? What did your gut tell you?
Going in,
Yeah.
I was a little leery of them going on the road for the fifth game, a young team.
Right.
Not knowing how they would respond. Obviously, it was the biggest game of DeGrom's career, and it showed. He was nervous. It took him. He was in and out of trouble like I've never seen him all year for the first 4 innings. And you know what? It seemed like it was one of the great moments. And first and third, 1 out before the double play in the 4th inning. Terry Collins went out to the mound instead of Dan Warthen. First time this year. He never did it. This was the time when a manager has to show leadership. Players want to be led. It was so appropriate and spot on for him to go out there, gather the infield, get in the catcher, and say, we're doing this. Jacob will get the ground ball double play and give them a direction. And from that point on, they got the double play. You know how uplifting that is? And then DeGrom seemed to settle down and pitched great the rest of the way. I thought he was going to go out for the 7th, to be honest with you.
You know, ever since we knew this matchup, all I've been thinking about was that 1984 run that you guys had, losing out to the Cubs. And being a young fan at the time, Keith, I remember you were the guy they always quoted because you were the only guy on that team that had won. And there was experience, like one of the only guys that won. Who do you think they're leaning on in that room as they advance to the next round? Who's the guy that you've sensed has really taken over the leadership reins of that team?
Well, I think they really look up to David. I really do, and I'm not saying this for propaganda. I think that they look up to David. David's been in the playoffs before. He's been there. He has a gravitas. They look up to Granderson. Mm-hmm. Granderson's been there, and he's won. He's gone all the way. Curtis very quietly leads. He's not, you wouldn't know it, but he's at the point in his career now where he's come over from the Yankees, where the Yankees, he was part of a big machine, a cog in the machine. Here, a lot of young players, they look up to him. And he has a lot of influence, a lot of positive influence as far as guiding this team. So I believe that's where it's at right now, those two guys.
I'll tell you what, Keith, anybody who tells me, the Mets were 0-7 against the Cubs, I mean, I laugh at that. Those are numbers that mean nothing. It's a completely different Met team. So that being said, How do you see this series breaking down?
Well, there's a joker in the deck. But first we'll just say one team has a terrific offense. I love their offense. And that's the Cubs, obviously. I like their young hitters. I'm not horribly high on the third baseman. I am enormously high on Soler and the first baseman. The name right now escapes me, the left-hand hitter.
Rizzo.
They have 2 pitchers, Lester and the guy that's going to win the Cy Young. Yeah, right. Sorry, guys. I've been in front of my computer with Quicken all day, and I'm just at the end of my rope. Anyway, just the wrong time for to have a problem with Quicken. But anyway, the Mets have a solid starting 4. I think the Cubs have a little better bullpen, more depth. We have major issues in the bullpen. There's no question about that. The X factor is going to be Wrigley Field. Which way is the wind going to be blowing? And it's whenever it's cold in Wrigley, the wind blows in. And when it's summer and the wind blows out, it's blowing from the west. Getting that warm westerly wind, that's when the wind blows out. Well, guess what? We're in fall now, so I'm assuming that the wind's going to be blowing off Michigan, Lake Michigan. And if the wind's blowing in, it's going to negate the Cub power. Even though the Mets hit more home runs than the Cubs, I think the Cubs are a more potent power team, a more consistent power team than the Mets are at this point. Cespedes has been struggling. They pitched him pretty tough. It was pretty doggone good pitching. They know how to pitch him. Duda's just been in the deep slump.
Yeah.
So the Cubs have more power. So it'd be very nice for the Mets to have that wind blowing in with that starting pitching.
Now, Duda's got nice numbers against Lester, but it's only 6 at-bats. How long do you stick with Duda, Keith?
This next series, yeah. I think you got to stick with them. They're all right-handers. The only lefty they got is Lester. What are you going to do? Going to put Kelly Johnson at second base and Murphy at first? I don't know. You got to stick with him and hope that he catches up to one and knocks it out of the ballpark at the right time. I mean, Ted Williams got 1 hit. Gil Hodge has got 1 hit in the World Series. You know?
Keith, you've seen.
You got to hope he comes out.
You have seen it for so long. You've called so many tough games and teams that weren't great. This must be unbelievable. I mean, after that San Diego rainout game, that almost was I mean, who could have ever envisioned this?
This team was playing meaningless games if the moves weren't made on the deadline. The 4 moves for Johnson, for Uribe, for Cespedes, of course, and Clippard, and then also bringing up Conforto. It transformed the team. It really brought subtle leadership from the Kelly Johnson and Uribe too, as really fill-in players, quality veteran players that have been through it. It just gave stability in the clubhouse, more professionalism in the clubhouse, and gave Terry a much better team to work with. And it's a different ball club altogether. But on the same token, it's a different club than the Cubs when they played.
Yep.
Cubs got some new guys on that team now that made them better. So this really looks like a heck of a series. And, you know, when you get in the playoffs and you get down to the wire, every league, football, basketball, not so much hockey, and even hockey, a lot of lousy teams. And when you get down to the end, they're the good teams, and it's good baseball.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great series. I think it's going to be unbelievably entertaining. You've been great with Gary and the gang on the pre and post, and look forward to seeing you on that as well.
Okay, go Mets, man. I've got to tell you, I'm supposed to be even-keeled here, and I'm rooting for the Mets. This is just really a great story.
It is an unbelievable story, and I think the country's going to be riveted as well. Thanks, Keith.
Thanks, Keith.
All righty.